Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and a reviewer who should have retired by now. You have been warned. This is Random Review.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel and welcome back to the review stage because it's time to take a look at a brand new toy. And by that I mean I literally found it and bought it like a few hours ago. If the transformation is rough, I apologize. But I do want to talk about this because a lot of people are curious about this one, and for very good reason. This is Armada Sideways from Age of the Primes. This one caught a lot of attention because they looked like they were going to do everything we wanted them to do with a modern Sideways toy, and then we found out it was going to have to be a Voyager for all those extra tricks. And then we found out the Voyager price was going up. So now it's kind of a debate whether or not this is actually going to be worth your time and your investment. Now, before we begin, I will admit that I got this at Target, where my Target at least still has the Voyagers listed for $34.99 rather than $42.99. So that might actually color my opinion here. Paying an extra $7 or $8 would probably put me off of this toy a little bit more or make me a little less forgiving. So we'll keep that in mind as we go. So, taking a look at it, it's a fairly decent recreation of the original motorcycle mode from Armada, though I do think the back end's quite a bit thicker than it used to be. There's definitely less room for a rider or two to sit on it. But it's doing a pretty good job. It's cast in a lovely shade of purple. Absolutely love the purple going on here. And we've swapped out the bright gold of Armada for yellow or for golden striping. And the yellow that creates that bright pop of color I expect from a kid-friendly line like Armada was, but it's gold on purple, and it just looks really, really good. So it's not entirely accurate. This is, again, one of those toys where I feel like there's room for like a straight-up animation accurate repaint at some point, but I do like the gold. I do think it looks really, really nice. Beyond that, you've got some gray, you got some black, and yeah, a little bit of blue in the headlights. One thing about upgrading this to a Voyager price point is that we are getting some paint apps that we wouldn't normally get. There's a few little things in this that we're not normally accustomed to because of price changes, like the pinned wheels that roll really, really smoothly, which is ironic because it's a toy motorcycle, so you aren't exactly going to zip it across the floor on its own. So, yeah, little things like that, but for the most part, it seems to work. The rider looks as tiny on the seat as usual. We'll go ahead and take him off so we can go ahead and take a look at him clean. Yeah, everything's there that you would want out of your Sideways. He's got his exhaust pipes in the right spot. He's got a little bit of gold down here where the motorcycle's engine would be. Everything looking pretty good. I will tell you that you can actually swivel the handles, so if the rider is having a little bit of trouble gripping them, these are adjustable, so keep that in mind. Also, ports for mounting things on the side. So 5mm ports there on the top and the bottom, and then we have a 3mm port that you saw holding some extra components before. If you aren't familiar with what they did to this toy, you might be surprised by what those 3mm ports were previously holding before I removed them. So yeah, it's a decent recreation. I like the coloring change. This is a pretty good look at it overall. Now, I'm going to give him a transformation into robot mode. For that, let's see. I've got him listed as an Autobot right now. I do want to at least demonstrate that the faction change does work in the vehicle mode, which the original toy could not show a faction in either mode, either Autobot or Decepticon in vehicle mode. So that's kind of a neat little change in and of itself. So let's get this guy transformed. Okay, so we're going to pop that free from the front and then lower the arms down so we can start clearing the legs. All right, so those are kind of hooked together here in this section. So I'm going to unclip those and then start spreading them out. That way we can open up these panels here. This is going to reveal where the thighs have been hidden for the transformation. It will double hinge these panels down around where the knee is. And then once that's done, I'm going to lower that, close this back up. It's a very tight hinge on mine. Then just rotate that into place. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Double hinge like that. Close the door. Just make sure that tab gets into that slot. And then rotate the foot as needed. You're going to have this little piece that holds it together in vehicle mode. Make sure that is flipped up after you've transformed the feet. So, we're going to need all that out of the way. Keep the legs there. So, opening this part up, need to get these double hinged out and pointed forward because I need all the room I can to get these wheels into their proper location. So with all this space moved out, I'm going to start rotating these around. Front wheel is going to have to stay where it is. The rear wheel is going to have to go all the way to the back. All the way around. And the front wheel fell off. So when you get this toy, the little bag of extra parts is going to also include both the front and the back wheels. For some reason, Hasbro decided these were going to be mounted on 5mm ports. So, I've had these things fall off more than once during attempts of transforming this guy, especially while I was trying to figure out how it worked. So it's a little bit shaky. But the point is, the tires should end up in these little grooves. And yeah, that's the only place where they have clearance. And this is going to have a nice loose hinge to it. So that's going to get out of the way for the proper placement of it. Okay, with all this still out of the way, this needs to be rotated around. So this extends out. Make sure all of this is adjusted so we can get a full rotation all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and raise up the head like so. Come out of the torso, make sure it pops into the 5mm port right there. Double hinge all of this back into its supposed location. I've got multiple hinges going here. Hang on. Okay. Get it into position. These are going to fold forward and tab in. From there, you can go ahead and start rotating parts around to get the arms straightened out into their final position. All of this stuff, come on. Stay in place, please. You're making me look bad. I'm good at making myself look bad as it is. I don't need your help. Now, hands actually fold in now. So, go ahead and take those purple sections, pull them straight. And then work fingernails. Oh, is there really no tab in that help you get a hold of these? No, there is not. Lovely. All right, so hope you either have like a toy pry bar or good fingernails to get in there and get that out. But once you do, you are going to have a sideways in a finished robot mode. Just make sure everything is adjusted correctly here. Make sure everything is pinned correctly. There we go. So, transformation-wise, you can see the original in there quite a lot. But he does have some new tricks to it in order to make it feel a little bit more complex. It is a little bit frustrating that there are pieces on this that are 5mm pegged that are trying very hard to clear other sections. Meaning, yeah, mishandling it can lead to things falling off, or just handling the toy in general will lead to them falling off. I really hate the decision to put those where they did. But what you get is a pretty good representation of the original sideways design. I think the torso has ended up a little bit lower than I'd like, unfortunately. Like, I literally tried to fiddle with it a little bit more just to make sure it wasn't a mistake, but it pins in correctly to his shoulders, so yeah, that's correct. That's how it goes. It does leave him with a little bit of like a long neck floaty head look, like it is coming off pretty far from the top of the torso, which is unfortunate. The head design itself is done pretty spot on. All that gold paint for the mask is there, blue for the eyes, and then, yeah, those horns out of the handlebars. That's one of the signature elements of the character. Glad that was included. The overall look is pretty close to how he is supposed to be. The features I need, like the tailpipes as acting as like arm weapons, all there. And we have some extra paint going on here too. I love how the gold paint that was on the side of the vehicle mode all comes together to give him this nice gold section around the torso. That's really, really nice. I like the extra silver that was thrown in on the forearm. That's a good little touch just to break up the black. Yeah, it's a pretty good representation. A little bit bulkier than the original as well. Like I said, they definitely thickened up the legs on this design, so he's not as spindly as he used to be. Proportionally, way better than the original, because of course now he doesn't have to worry about the Minicon gimmick taking up so much engineering in his chest. Oh, he's got his own variation of that though. We'll get to that in a bit. For now, I will let you guys know you got the 5mm ports up here, along with the hands, of course, but the exhaust pipes are also on 5mm, so if you are used to seeing them out of the missile launchers on the original toy, you can recreate that, or you can find other weapons to plug in. Gives you a little bit of play options, along with the 5mm port on the side of the forearm, and you still get the ones on the legs, too. Lots of spots for stuff to go, including a 5mm back here. Plenty to go. Alright. I need to get into the articulation rundown on him. Save you save you all the notifications like, oh, it's such a clean design. You know, it's the way he always has been. He's got a big wheel backpack. Neck is ball jointed, very tight. We got up and down, left and right. The wheel here does tend to get in the way a little bit, but not terrible. You have universal shoulders. Be careful when you pose them because these don't clip in. It's just friction, meaning you can kind of yank those parts apart if you're not a little bit careful or not holding them in place. Bicep, 360-degree rotation, 90-degree at the elbow, and then the wrist is ball jointed, so that's posable as well. Waist rotation. Oh, how much did we want a waist rotation on the original? That's a very nice piece to have. Universal hips, full rotation all the way around there. Thighs, 360 degrees, 90 degrees at the knee, and then an ankle tilt that also rotates back and forth. So you got plenty to go in the feet. This is very exciting to my dog in the background, if you can hear that. I don't know why she's so excited over the articulated sideways, but here we are. So, we need to talk about everything else that this toy can do, because that's just a basic rundown. For starters, yes, this guy is sold at the Voyager price point, which means he is a little bit bigger than an average deluxe. This was my concern, was that he wasn't going to feel like a Voyager class toy, but he does have size and bulk that he definitely wouldn't have had as a deluxe. So, okay, we're going to give him credit for that. He's bigger than I thought he would be. Now, what we really need to talk about here is how they did the Minicons. So, here's Mirror, named after the Micron Densetsu name that they gave him in Japan. It's a pretty good take on him. You know, you got the same kind of elements there. The silver head and the orange eyes are all done well. You know, he seems pretty well sculpted. Ball joints in the elbow and the shoulders, as well as in the hips and the knees, means that he is pretty well articulated. And he even has a waist joint because he's 5mm pegged together. So, this is all well and good, and he does make this nice little mini version of the original Rider. However, the way they handled everything else gets a little bit iffy. So, you remember those parts I pulled off? Yeah, in order to transform him, you need to plug his legs on. So the Minicons are a completely separate part former experience. There's literally nothing you can do with these guns. There's like little 3mm ports if you still have blast effects that can fit those, just if you want to pretend it's a gun. 3mm peg, just in case. He ends up a little bit gorilla armed compared to the original, so there is that. So that's Rook. So here's crosswise. We take a look at how he turned out. I got to rotate his legs at the knees in order to get them pointed forward. And then, yeah, this is literally just a pair of arms. They don't even have ports on the end for putting on blast effects. They're just a pair of arms that slide on to finish his robot mode. So yeah, if you don't like part forming, this guy is going to be offensive to you because this is egregious part forming that has absolutely no reason for existing other than this is just a cheaper way to produce this. It baffles me that in 2002 we could figure out how to make these Minicon gimmicks work and do everything they were supposed to do, but now we're limited to this. It's like, I mean, I know it would have been limited, but I still would have preferred the arms been there and attached and did something rather than just be removable, just for the sake of convenience for the engineering. But we aren't really that concerned. How many people are concerned about the individual Minicons? I do find it kind of disappointingly cheap, but you are here to see them be the thing that Sideways does. So you rotate that down in order to create the face mask, and that is going to be helmet number 1. I'm going to keep it a little bit closer. Yeah, so we'll do this. I don't like how, I don't like when they do that. That looks weird to me. So I'm going to rotate this, and we're going to make these like a smaller horn set. So, okay, there we have this Autobot head. And then we're going to flip this guy around. And crosswise is going to rotate his legs like so in order to create the Decepticon head. Now, how to get this to accomplish is a little bit more involved than it used to be. Let me get him into a spot where I can show you well on camera. So, take the arms off and then all this hinges forward. This is just a friction hinge, by the way, so be careful when you're lowering it because it is a little bit easy to pop off if you're a little bit too forceful. Alright, so hinge the head down like so. You're going to have to rotate these to get them out of the way. Basically, what we're trying to do is tuck the head into the chest. That way, only the handlebars are sticking up. And once it's back into position, go ahead and close everything up. That's going to leave you with a 5mm port to work with. And from there, you just plug on whoever you want to plug on. So, we will switch up to... Well... I guess I should have warned you ahead of time. If you want to do the faction symbol switch, you need to do it while the head is still out. So that's an unfortunate thing. So in vehicle mode, we could switch the faction, something the original toy couldn't do. Now we need to untransform the figure in order to switch the faction, something that the original toy didn't have to do. Ah, boy. So yeah, it's a little bit of an annoyance when you're in the process of playing with the figure, but hey, you can get it to actually work, and you plug the head onto a 5mm port, and there's your Autobot Sideways. You know, just as they originally intended, with the black helmet and red eyes. Yes, this was surely originally designed to be the Autobot helmet. Yeah. The point being, it is a nice look. I mean, it is more appropriate. So because it does not have to worry about the hinge and the engineering to fold it away, you do have a cleaner look to the head here. Like, it actually does seem more appropriate. It doesn't have that like weird long neck thing going on. So that's a benefit, but we don't want that head. It's cool that we have it, but we want to have the Decepticon head. So now I need to untransform him again. I need to switch out his Decepticon symbol, and then I need to fold everything back in, and then we need to close up again. Yep, just making sure I got it right. And then we pop on the head we know him for the most. And again, like, it looks about the same as I would expect. It looks pretty much identical to how the original looked. They're using a hinge for his mouth plate now, which is a little bit weird, and now I can't unsee it every time I have him designed like this. But this is how I expect to see Sideways, at least. So, it is what it is. And also, as stated, like, the normal head does kind of hit against the tires on his back, so that does hinder articulation in the neck a little bit. Obviously, when he has these gigantic horns, that's going to amplify. So you're going to have a little bit more of a hard time posing his neck than you did before. But that is the brand new Sideways toy. So there are disappointing aspects to it. Like the Minicons don't work nearly as well as they used to. I didn't expect the gimmick of the original, but at the very least, I would like to do without the part forming. There is that 5mm peg on the back, so if you really just want to store the extra head on his back, you can do that. That's actually not a bad little feature. But the only place I have for his like spare arms and leg parts is like 3mm ports on his legs, which don't look great. However, if that is a inconvenience at best to you, then it's still a pretty solid figure. It does still do everything I want it to do ultimately. As long as it does some semblance of the faction switch and the head swap, I think it's done a pretty good job. And the fact that mirror is still like included and works better than the original in ways, that's nice too. So flawed, but still pretty solid. Again, I didn't pay $43 for him, so your mileage may vary. But that is going to do it for me today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're a little bit more informed on the toy now. And as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.